You're welcome to another episode of Chronicles of a Nigerian Woman. My name is Fagbeja. I am your host, and today I'll be reading Gertrude's story. I never believed this would happen to me. In fact, I thought I would not survive it if it ever did. But now it has become my reality. I know you're wondering what I'm talking about. Hear my story and you'll understand. I was what most men in my days would call take home to mama, a good girl, wife material. In retrospect, I realized I was just sheltered and naive. I grew up with parents who were protective and shielded us from the harsher realities of life. I was a bit reserved, though talkative when I was in my crowd. I loved to hang out with my friends and have fun. I was in my second year when I met Isaac. He was a year ahead of me, extremely cute and funny. I couldn't believe my luck. He was the exact kind of person I fantasized about with my friends. He quickly became friendly with my friends too, and they liked him. He was amiable, generous, always willing to help, and he never hid the fact that he liked me a lot. Although I tried to hide it for a while, I took an almost instant liking to him. He was my first serious love interest, and I was a bit too shy to let him know how I felt. I avoided being alone with him, and whenever he tried to get personal, I diverted the conversation and turned things into a joke. Eventually, and with a lot of push from my 3 close friends, I went out with him for ice cream one day, and when he asked me out, my shy smile betrayed me, and I couldn't hide my feelings anymore. And so we became an item. He pampered me and I reveled in his attention. Isaac and I dated for 6 years. He was retained by the accounting firm where he was posted for his youth service. I also got a job in a bank. Everything was great when we decided to start planning our wedding. It wasn't that we didn't have any issues, but I avoided conflict, and Isaac always got quiet when we argued. So after not speaking for a few days, one of us would apologize, and that was often how we made up, without really discussing deep issues. The few times I wanted to broach issues I felt were important, Isaac would immediately accept the blame, apologize, and ask that we put the past behind us. I guess he also hated the conflict. It left me feeling somewhat uncomfortable sometimes, but I believed our love would conquer anything, and I let things slide. I got pregnant a few months after our wedding. The pregnancy wasn't too bad, but it took an emotional toll on me. I felt tired all the time, and I found it difficult to juggle all my roles together. When I resumed from maternity leave after having our first son, I struggled to cope with work, and so I resigned after a month. Our son was 11 months old when I found out that I was pregnant again. This time, the pregnancy was really difficult. I put on so much weight, and I could barely do anything as I was sick all the time. Isaac's mom and my mom took turns to stay and help with our son. I was eventually put on bed rest when I was 6 months gone. It was such a difficult time for me emotionally, and I eventually went into some depression just before the baby was born. It was also around this time that Isaac started coming home late. I noticed, but I was too absorbed in my problems to discuss it until the baby was about 3 months, when things started to settle and I was getting back to myself. I didn't make a sweeping accusation about Isaac's late coming. Instead, I asked him at different times why he returned late. He made some weak excuses, and even though I felt uneasy, I always let it go. The pattern continued for over a year until the day I stumbled on a picture of him, a lady, and a baby on his phone. He had changed his phone, and I took it one day while he was in the bathroom to play around with the features. Phones didn't come with the password feature at the time, so I accessed it easily. I refused to accept the alarms that were ringing in my head, but my curiosity drove me to dig further, and that's when I found messages between him and the lady. Apart from love messages and their plans to meet, there were discussions about me and our kids. The ones that hit me the most were their conversations about long-term plans. She asked what he would do now that she had a baby, and he said she should give him some time to think of a plan to get us out so they could move in, as I would never accept them staying with us. I was still reading when Isaac came out of the bathroom. He must have guessed what I saw because he gave me a guilty stare before taking the phone. The worst part for me was that when the matter got to the family, his mom supported him. She said that since the other lady had a son too, it would be up to me to decide what I wanted to do, as they do not reject children in their family. Isaac never spoke with me about it, nor did he apologize. I felt like I was dealing with a stranger. I did not argue at all when my parents asked me to move back home, because I could not walk around it emotionally. My sons are now 16 and 14. Isaac sends money for their upkeep every month and he pays their school fees, but we still have never discussed things. I didn't file for a divorce, so I still bear his name. I live with my parents as I cannot deal with living alone. In my wildest dreams, this is not the kind of life I imagined for myself, but I have lived it for 14 years. I don't even know if I have successfully worked through it or not. I just take each day as it comes, while I make a small income from making small snacks and cakes. What words do you have for Gertrude? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of my stories.